Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Michigan State University Athletics Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Hondo Carpenter, joined by Michigan State Spartan dog himself, Jonathan Schopp, a highly respected journalist and a terrific and successful attorney in the Atlanta Buckhead area, who's joined me for nearly a couple of decades to talk all things Michigan State. And so, John, we look at Michigan State and where they are today. And by the way, everybody, remember your best coverage for Michigan State's found at SpartanNation.com. Remember, Michigan State Spartans on SI, we offer you the best. So I want to set the stage to discuss Alan Haller. Everyone knows that Alan and I are personal friends. We've communicated since his termination. Obviously, we're friends. Everyone knows the story. I'm the one that actually called and told him he had the job. Um, and so very close to Alan. And let me just say, in the interest of full disclosure, I do not just like Alan. I genuinely love him as a real friend. I don't say that to be braggadocious. I say that because in the journalism world, it's full disclosure. Just like I would say, okay, John is a personal friend, but he's also represented me before or my family. It's just so people may say, hey, Hondo's looking through those glasses. So I want to talk about Alan Haller, the victim, but nobody did anything wrong. And then I'd love your perspective. So the entire time Alan Haller has come up the ranks from a high school player to a college player to, law enforcement to joining Hollis, he has done everything right to be the traditional pre-NIL athletic director. Every single thing right. He gets the job. He inherited Mel Tucker. I have said this before. I will never betray anyone. I don't believe in any way he wanted Mel Tucker. And I stand by that. So that wasn't on him. That was the previous president who, well, I don't even want to say what I think of him. And Beekman, who I think was a really good guy, just way over his head. But that was not an Alan Haller issue. But you look at all the hirings and firings he made were very successful. Then he goes out and gets Jonathan Smith. Now, John, you can tell the people whether or not you know this, but one of the most successful coaches in football history comes out and praises Jonathan Smith. Just never had the resources at Oregon State. He would go get no star guys and like Talise Fuaga and others and put him in the NFL. Other teams would come and poach his roster every year at Oregon State because he would take no star guys, develop them, and then he didn't have any NIL money to keep them. And he comes to Michigan State. So here's Alan Haller in a great athletic director in the traditional role. The problem is there isn't a traditional role anymore because it is all about NIL. And one of the most famous and respected college coaches told me personally. He said, it used to be I had to raise money for facilities. And as long as I had the best coaches in facilities, he goes, kids would pick me. Now they're going to places like Jacksonville State or FIU or FAU or a Central Michigan because maybe one booster is willing to give $1 million for the best defensive end in the world, whatever. And he said, now it isn't about winning. It's who's going to pay the most. And he goes, so now you've nullified facilities. So teams are having to put all their money into NIL. Well, then all of a sudden you got crappy facilities. And he said to me, you're going to see great coaches get fired because they're not winning when their school doesn't have the NIL money. And here's where I'm going with this. Alan Haller is a great man. He's a terrific father. I'm going to rephrase that because it's not that he's not a terrific father. He's a terrific family man. He's a a great loyal friend. He is a great administrator. He thinks analytically. All of the old traditional things are great, John, but he's not a glad handler. He's not and I don't mean this in a negative way, but he's not a carnival barker. He's not a flesh presser. And so all of a sudden, Michigan State needs NIL boosts. And okay, great. We're building facilities, we're building buildings, but if we don't have players, we can't fill those buildings. A victim of the changing in the sports world, but a victim, but nobody did anything wrong. John, I know I monopolized the first 6 minutes of this conversation. I apologize, but I thought it was important to lay the groundwork. Please take off and go.
I think that really is what it was. Alan Haller, tremendous career, a really impressive ascension to the athletic director role, including serious highlights of being involved in the Mark D'Antonio coaching search, obviously hiring the hockey coach that's on fire, etc. But he was hired to be a college athletic director. The world has changed so much. It's college pro now. I'm not a broadcast partner, so I don't have to stick to college. It's literally college pro now. So he's literally got to compete with Ohio State with a $20 million payroll, Texas somewhere north of that this year, et cetera. So it becomes a problem for everybody because the university, maybe from their level, they're saying, hey, our athletic director, you got to be now 50% fundraiser. We need you to make a handful of calls a week. We need you to you've got to go out there and get that money. And it's understandable in a situation where so many legendary coaches have quit. They're out. They don't want college pro. They're done. Coach K, you name the list. They don't want it. They're out of it. You've got a conflict there where the athletic director says, hey, this is not my job to do. And somebody else says, well, this is what's got to be done. Who knows? Maybe there's a conversation of, hey, why don't we hire somebody else to be the fundraising thing head? And the other people are like, no, we're not doing that. And then the whole thing breaks down. This is not just a Michigan State thing. It's across the country. So this is such a dynamic changing time. I think Alan Haller also a victim of circumstance more than anything else. Now, let me tell you a big light bulb moment that went off in my head just about a week or so ago. And this is after the MSU Atlanta Day. That's been a big event every year in Atlanta and includes some boosters and some people from Michigan State and kind of a take the temperature of what the athletic season might be like. And the 100% focus was on that NIL because so much has changed. And this is what strikes me from a bigger picture, and it's not just a Michigan State thing. Let's say you are a very wealthy person that loves sports. You'd love to buy an NFL and NBA franchise. There are not many of them. They don't go up for sale, and some people just aren't going to get them. You know what is up for sale right now? And what people are starting to realize they can do? They can practically own a college pro sports team. It could happen at Michigan State with a handful of donors. We've seen what's going on at SMU to the point where they get in a different conference. This is what I think we're going to see as soon as now and in the next 10 years. We are basically going to see owners evolve to own these college pro sports teams. That means a lot of potential power and influence. Remember what T. Boone Pickens thought when he first put all that money at Oklahoma State? Like, yeah, I'm going to be involved in picking this and picking that. People are like, whoa. That's going to become the norm. So if somebody wants to become practically an owner of basketball or football at a college level, they can do it. We've arguably seen some of that attempt made via Larry Ellison, Oracle, his current wife with the University of Michigan with a humongous gift. But that's where this thing is going. And if you're Alan Haller, you may want nothing to do with that at all. Incredibly successful career, really a pretty good looking athletic director career as it stands right now, given what he was able to do, who he was able to hire, et cetera, with some of the other university strings that are pulling. But it's not a huge surprise that you look at it and say, wow, this is a change.
All right. Last thing I want to talk to you about is Jonathan Smith.
Yes.
Great coach. This guy, and you know who I'm talking about, but some of the biggest names in the sports history said he was one of the best coaches. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. Don't need to rehash it. But this is a thing where you want him to win. He's got to have the NIL money, because there's going to be good coaches. And I'm not calling for his firing at all. You're not going to find a better coach. But you've got to be able to give the guy the money, because that's the name of the game now. It is all about, I mean, like it or not. I mean, go back and look at the NCAA tournament. People are like, oh, it wasn't a good one. There wasn't any Cinderellas, because all the great players from last year got bought and went to those teams. It's just the reality. You could sit here and bitch for years. I remember when college basketball changed the rules. And to me, this is where MSU basketball went from MSU basketball 2.0 to 3.0, when the game changed and you couldn't be as physical. And Spartan fans bitched for 5 years till they finally adjusted. I think now they're in the Michigan State, in my opinion, 4 or 5.0. But when you look at that, you can bitch, moan, and complain, or just accept the reality. Jonathan Smith is a terrific coach. But if you don't give him the groceries, he can't cook the meal, John. And the reality is now, okay, great. Please don't give money to a building. Will you give it to buying a defensive end? The reality is, I'm hearing a lot of Spartan fans almost bemoaning Smith, which makes no sense to me. I got on the airplane last night, and as soon as I got on the airplane, the guys recognized me, a Spartan. He's like, go green, I'm go white. I got my Michigan State shirt on. And he's like, oh, is Jonathan Smith going to make it? I said, Jonathan Smith's a great coach. Have you written a check? Because that's how you're going to know if he's going to make it. I mean, there's going to be collateral damage of great coaches who just don't get the chance because they don't have the NIL money.
I did a real deep dive into the entire roster a week or so back, and a couple of things stand out that Smith's already done, Jim Mihalchek's already done to plant the seeds. Now, the seeds may have to germinate and mature a little quicker than they would have thought. And some of the stuff they did in the portal was to try to make sure that they've got options. So, okay, we've got 4 guys. We need to hit on one of these 4 to fill this position in the 2 deep, for example. But when you look at what they did, you look at some of the stuff they did with offensive linemen relative to redshirting and a couple other positions, you can see them starting to form things together. The offensive line is going to be an interesting one to watch. There are guys that redshirted last year for specific reasons. There's a guy that played like 50 snaps against Ohio State for a specific reason. And that's Jonathan Smith and Jim Mihalchek going through to figure out, can this guy play at this level? Can he compete at a championship level? If not, what can we see him doing? So there's a lot of work that they've done, and they're in this mix too, where all of a sudden this thing has been blown up. They're now in the world of college pro. Jonathan Smith is going to have to change the way he's coached. He already has. He's going to have to change the way he recruits. He already has. It looks to me like a guy that's going in with cash to the store, and he's trying to spend it as wisely as he can. What Spartan fans need to do, and they need to find it, they need to give an opportunity, and we will find out before that Southern Cal game, is how well did he do with it? How well did he do with it so far? Did he find one guy out of 5 that can hit to fill this specific spot? Did he get a running back that can carry the ball effectively? And there's an interesting thing that's going on here that really may end up being the story of their season on the field. And it's something you probably will agree with me. In the entire career of Aiden Childs, from getting to Oregon State to however long he may play as a professional, the single biggest jump he's ever going to have is going to be right here, right now. It's going to be between the first year of him as a starter to the second year. Is this guy a potential first-round NFL draft pick, or is he not even a potential Big Ten championship level starter? We're going to find out. So there's a lot of things at play here. It starts now with the dollar flow. It's not about player development anymore. It's not about going to Jim Tressel to get developed to go into the NFL. It's not about going to have the greatest college experience of all time, being a player at Alabama. It's starting for so many of these guys with the dollar figure. So from a big perspective, Jonathan Smith, this is a huge year, and it's a huge first month of the season for him. Absolutely. They have got to win the games on their schedule that they should win. Then they've got to win a couple more. What Jonathan Smith cannot afford is a 5-win season or less with a new athletic director. I think that's very easy to say he couldn't afford that. What I'm really interested to see is some of the seeds that they planted last year, some of the real deliberate decisions to redshirt guys that could have played more. How do they play out? And how does some of the portal guys that are coming in, when you see some of the positions, and these are super seniors or whatever, can they get one or two of those guys to hit? If they can, they're going to be competitive with a lot more teams on this schedule than it may look like on day one. And when that big special game comes around on the calendar, things may look a lot different than they feel for a lot of people in the Spartan Nation as we start the month of June.
I agree, John. Hey, tell everybody where to find you. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, when you go to @Hondo Carpenter. John, where do they find you?
You can find me at JP Spartan. And folks, we have been at this a little while. This is pretty much the start of our 17th season. I consider myself the contributor emeritus to Spartan Nation. And thanks to everybody for paying attention and following along. Times are changing. The winds are blowing. It's a new era coming. But guess what? We're still the same. We're going to give it to you straight, and we love doing it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, check us out there. And as always, the best Michigan State coverage, SpartanNation.com.